Flight 604 cruised smoothly above the clouds, New York lights far behind, and Denver still an hour away. For most passengers, it was just another late-night flight. For Claire Reynolds, it was the last leg of a double shift, her heels aching and smile running on habit. She straightened her uniform in the galley, listening to the steady hum of the engines. Everything felt ordinary, but there was a strange tightness in her chest, like the calm before a storm she couldn't see yet. Claire walked the aisle, checking seatbelts and tray tables, exchanging polite nods. Business travelers tapped laptops. A couple slept hand in hand. A teenage girl stared out the window with headphones on. Claire paused briefly near row 18, where an elderly man clutched a folded paper in trembling fingers. Their eyes met. He gave a small, sad smile, then looked away. Claire moved on, telling herself not to overthink it. Still, that look stayed with her, heavier than it should have been. Back in the galley, the captain's voice crackled softly through the intercom, updating weather and arrival time. Claire leaned against the counter, rubbing her temples. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, another missed call from her sister, but she ignored it. Family drama could wait until landing. She inhaled slowly, grounding herself. This job had taught her how to stay calm no matter what, or at least, that's what she believed. Tonight would quietly challenge everything she thought she knew. Claire returned to the aisle when the elderly man signaled her. She crouched beside him. "Can I help you, sir?" she asked gently. His hands shook as he passed her the folded paper. "I was wondering," he said, voice thin, "if you could make sure the captain reads this before we land." Claire hesitated. Notes weren't unusual, but something about his expression resigned, almost peaceful made her pulse quicken. Of course, she replied, slipping it into her pocket. In the galley, Claire unfolded the paper. It wasn't long. It's just a few lines written carefully, as if each word mattered. "This is my last flight. Please don't let my daughter think I forgot her." Claire's breath caught. There was a name at the bottom, Michaeland, a phone number scribbled underneath. No threats, no drama, just quiet finality. Claire reread it twice, her heart pounding louder than the engines. Something was very wrong. Claire showed the note to her fellow attendant, Jonah. His face darkened. "We need to tell the captain," he said immediately. Claire nodded, but doubt crept in. Was this a goodbye, or just an emotional man afraid of flying? She glanced through the curtain toward row 18. Michael sat still, staring forward, hands folded now, as if he'd already made peace with something. Claire felt a chill run down her spine. This wasn't fear. This was goodbye. The captain listened silently as Claire handed over the note. He read it slowly, jaw tightening. "We'll keep an eye on him," he said, "but we can't jump to conclusions." Claire understood, yet unease gnawed at her. Back in the cabin, she watched Michael discreetly. He didn't drink his water. He didn't sleep. He just waited. Claire imagined a daughter somewhere, maybe expecting a call that would never come. The thought settled painfully in her chest. Claire decided to talk to him again. She knelt beside Michael's seat, lowering her voice. "Sir, are you feeling okay?" He turned to her, eyes glassy but calm. "I'm fine," he said softly. "Better than I've been in a long time." Claire swallowed. "Do you have someone meeting you when we land?" Michael smiled faintly. "No," he replied. "That's kind of the point." The words felt like a quiet alarm going off inside her. Claire's training urged caution, but her instincts screamed urgency. "Michael," she said gently, "your note worried us. We just want to help." His shoulders sagged. "I didn't mean to cause trouble," he whispered. "I just wanted someone to know." "I tried." Tears welled in Claire's eyes. She took a breath. "Your daughter," she said carefully. "What's her name?" His lips trembled. "Emily. She's 12. Claire felt her resolve harden. Back in the galley, Claire paced. Captain needed proof of danger to intervene, but emotional danger didn't show on scanners. She stared at the intercom, heart racing. Then, a thought struck her, an announcement. Something unexpected. Something human. Claire approached the captain again. "Sir," she said, voice steady, despite the storm inside her. "May I make the final landing announcement tonight?" He studied her, then nodded slowly. "Keep it professional," he warned. Claire nodded. She had a plan. As the plane began its descent, the cabin quieted. Claire took the intercom, hands shaking slightly. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, voice warm and clear, We'll be landing shortly. Before we do, I want to remind you to reach out to the people who matter most to you." Passengers looked up, curious. "Sometimes," she continued, "we forget how much our presence means to someone else." Her eyes found Michael's. He looked startled. Claire continued, heart pounding. "There's someone you haven't called, someone waiting for you. Please remember they need you, more than you know." The cabin was silent now. No rustling, no whispers, just listening. Michael's composure cracked. His chin quivered, tears spilling freely. Claire finished softly. "Thank you for flying with us tonight." She released the button, breath trembling. Jonah stared at her from across the aisle, eyes wide. The announcement wasn't protocol, but it was real. The plane touched down smoothly. Applause rippled lightly through the cabin, then faded. Michael sat frozen, shoulders shaking. Claire approached him as passengers stood to gather bags. "Michael," she said quietly, "would you like to make a phone call before you leave?" He nodded, unable to speak.
Out?
Claire guided him toward the front, signaling Jonah to stall deplaning. Time stretched thin. Michael dialed with trembling fingers, phone pressed to his ear like a lifeline. "The call connected, Dad." A young voice answered, surprised. Michael broke. He sobbed openly, words tumbling out apologies, love, regret. Claire turned away slightly, tears streaming down her own face. She'd never heard grief and love collide so loudly. Passengers nearby stood silently, pretending not to listen, but unable to look away. In that moment, the plane felt less like metal and seats, more like a room full of beating hearts. Michael ended the call slowly, wiping his eyes. She answered. He whispered to Claire, disbelief coloring his voice. "She still needs me." Claire smiled through tears. "She always will," she said. Airport staff waited patiently, sensing something important had just happened. Michael straightened, shoulders heavier but steadier now. "Thank you," he told Claire. "Thought no one would notice." Claire shook her head gently. "You mattered the moment you stepped on board." After everyone deplaned, Claire sat alone in the cabin, the silence overwhelming. Captain approached, concern in his eyes. "I heard about the announcement," he said carefully. Claire braced herself. "If I crossed a line," she began. He raised a hand. "You might have saved a life tonight." Relief flooded her so fast, her knees weakened. She exhaled shakily, realizing how close she'd come to carrying a different ending in her heart forever. Outside the terminal window, Claire watched Michael walk away, phone still in his hand, speaking softly now. She thought of her own sister, the missed calls, the distance she'd built out of exhaustion. The job had taught her safety procedures, emergency landings, crisis control. But tonight taught her something else. Sometimes the most powerful intervention isn't authority or alarms, it's being seen, truly seen. Claire reached into her pocket and finally checked her phone. She dialed her sister before doubt could stop her. "Hey," she said when the line picked up, voice thick. "I'm sorry I didn't answer earlier." There was a pause, then relief on the other end. "I'm just glad you called," her sister replied. Claire closed her eyes, letting the noise of the terminal fade. She understood now how fragile silence could be and how loud one voice, at the right moment, could become. Later that night, Claire walked to her car under airport lights, the cold air sharp against her face. She replayed the announcement, the tears, the call. She wondered how many invisible battles passed through her cabin every day. How many notes were never written? How many endings waited for interruption? The thought was heavy, but also hopeful. Because tonight, a story no one expected had changed more than one life, including her own. As Claire drove home, the city lights blurred softly through her windshield. She smiled faintly, exhaustion mixing with purpose. Tomorrow would bring another flight, another routine day in the sky, but she would listen closer now, watch longer, care deeper. Somewhere, a girl named Emily would sleep, knowing her father was still here. And Claire understood something profound sometimes. One final announcement before landing isn't about safety instructions at all. It's about reminding someone they still belong in the world.